Welcome to the class. In this class, we'll be talking about classes. I know in your biology class there is a there is there is a topic that you talk about something taxonomy, and then they'll be talking about classification of things, something like that, and they start classifying different animals to different classes, and we have things like Homo sapien and stuff like that. I think I have forgotten. So those biology class. Same thing we have here. In that we have different kind of classes, the way we classify things, and from these classes of things, that's where we have different types of things, and that's where we have data types. So classes in that is a way to create a blueprint of something. So for you to create a class is easy. You just need to use the keyword class. If you use the keyword class, let's say we do class student. This is a class. This is a student class. And what I mean by blueprints of a class is to, let's say in a factory, you go to a factory right now, and there's a blueprint or like a mold, right? That they pour maybe the rubber inside, and then it will create the slipper. Let's say you go to a slipper factory or a shoe factory, or a slide. Let's say slide or your Crocs, right? There's a mold that you just pour the rubber in, and then it immediately makes the whatever thing they want to make. And same case with our class here. So if I'm creating a class student, so I'm creating a blueprint that I can use to create a lot of other students. So just like that mode, you if you go to that factory, they can use that mode to create a whole lot of different crocs or slides. That those are slippers I'm talking about. Same thing with classes here. Since I've created the blueprint of a student class, with this student class I can be able to create different kinds of things with this student, different type of students with this student class. Let's see an example. So example is creating it this way. So students, in a class, sorry, before I go more deep, so class has different things inside of it. Class has just like I told you that when there is a open brace and close, meaning that inside there is where a lot of things is going to happen, um, which is right in the class. This is how it also is. And in a class you can actually write, you can actually define variables. So example of the variable I want to define here is name, and the name here can be Paul, right? Name here can be Paul, and we are calling this variable. Now in a class, this is not called any variable anymore. It is called a property because it belongs to that class. So just like a student must has a name. Like in your university, or if you're a secondary school, in your class you have a name. And also a student has an age. So age, say 23 or 25, right? And now let's say we want to print this. We want to show this to the screen. So we need our main, right? Very important. I'm going to remove this argument right here. So to actually return or use this class, we need to add this to, let's say, var, and then we do student one. We do student one, for example, and then we do student right here. And if I print this student one, if I print this, I run this right here on my console, you see it's print instance of a student. Now the instance of a student here, what this instance actually means is example of a student, right? And I can create another variable of a student and still do here, and then run. You see, it's student, instance of a student, instance of a student. And if we want to do, let's say we want to do some, okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there. And you can see that if I over on, let's remove this one. If I over on this, you can see that it's a student type, right? So that means we have automatically created our own custom type, custom data type, which is a class student. And we can change this var here to student, right? And it's very, very, you can actually see that. So now, how do we access the properties in a class or variables in a class? Now, for example, you can do dot, and then you can see that we have age and name, right? And if I print age of this student one, you can see it's 25. If I print name of this student, you can see it's Paul. So, like I told you, that we can actually create different students from a particular student class. This is not actually the way, because this is still going to be named Paul. If we create a second student right here, still going to be named Paul, same age. But we want to use this as a model to create new students, right? And how do we do that? So we do that with constructor. So constructor in a class, so an example of a constructor is what you're seeing here. This is a constructor inside a class. And in a class, when a class runs, when you actually put a class up here in the main and try to run it, the first thing that gets run is a constructor. That's the first thing that gets run to anything, just like we have the main. So in a class, the first thing that gets runs is the constructor, and that defaultly gives us a default constructor to use. Like example is what you see here. So there is a constructor, even though we did not create this, but we can actually use it like this. So there is that default constructor, and for us to be able to pass name and age, and that means to create different kinds of students, we need to do this way. So we need to do string, like we have parameters and arguments in a function. Same thing we have for classes. So I'm going to do name. I'm going to do, let's say, name, and then I'm going to do int age. And then in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this, and also remove this. And inside here, we are going to do name equals to this name, and age equals to this age. So if you look at this thing, you see that what we are just doing, we do not know which of the name are we initializing, or are we assigning. So you see, this name is the same thing as this name is the same thing as this name. But what we want to do is the same thing we did for functions. Like example is get whatever value that is here and use it for whatever thing that we want to do, operation that we want to do. Same thing here. So for you to refer to the class property of name, and you need to use a keyword called this. So this keyword, and also this. And you can see that we are still having this red quickly line. It's trying to tell you that that this you need to mark it as lit, or you need to mark it as as a null. So if we do this, no, what we are trying to tell, that we are telling that this could be null, and this could be null. So what I mean by null is it could be empty, like it could be empty, it does not hold any value. Now if I use this, I'm trying to I've just tell that hey, this could be null, just give us whatever value that is inside there. But if I use something called late and then I use late, what I'm telling that is telling that later that this name is going to, we are going to assign this name to something, and we are going to assign this name and age here to something, and that's what we are actually doing here. So we are going to assign, so if I click on this, I tap on control, and then over on this, you can see that if I click on this, it goes to this name, right? And if I click on this name, it goes to this name. So this is actually referred to this name. This name is referring to this, and then this age is referring to this. So whatever value we get from the parameter here, we can assign whatever those values to these values, and then we print them. And if we go to the main here, we do, let's say student 1, and then this student 1, if we over on this, you can see that it needs a name and age. This student 1 is Segun, and then the age of Segun is 25, for example. Then if I print this, if I run this, you can see that we have Segun now. And then if I duplicate this and change the student 1 to student 2, and then print Paul with age 23 or 24, 23, whatever, and then print student 2 name, you can see that we have Paul and Segun, right? So we are able to use this class to create different kinds of students right here. So we have 2 different students, and we can continue creating different students, and one of the things I'll just like to create before we close this section in classes, or talk about in classes, is inheritance. So inheritance is like just like inheritance in the human behavior. You can inherit some certain characteristics from your parents. Same thing we have here. So let's say we create a new class, we call it person, right? We call it a person, and in this we are going to create some parameters, some properties for this person. And example of this is a person has a name, right? And a person has an age. The person has let's just stop here. So now you can see that there are some similar properties of these two person, this student and person and student. So we can just remove this. Instead of doing this, we can just do student has a reg number, registration number, and it's going to be an integer. And this we are going to do and we're going to just keep this way for now. And then what we are going to do here is to use a new keyword called extend person. So what we are trying to do in here, we are doing here, we are telling that we want to extend everything that is inside the person to student. And you can see that we can still access name, and we can still access name. Also, we can also access age as well, because it's coming from students. So we have inherit the name and age from the person class to the student class, right? But now what we need to do is to create a constructor the way we create here. We need to create a constructor for this, so we can be able to fill this. And also here we need to create something, one more thing, an integer for registration number, right? And then if I do something like this, so you see something called super that's being added to this. So okay, let me just show you this. So you can see that this this is showing red line is because um, we need to actually the person class here needs the person class here needs all the parameters we have added here to be given. So it needs that. So for us to be able to give all these parameters or these properties to this person class, so that whenever we access it, just the way we are doing here, name and age, it actually prints something to us, we need to respect and use super. So if we use this super right here, it will tell us that we need to add the name. So you can actually pass this name and actually pass the age like this, and it is done. And then the next thing you just need to do is do this registration number to this, and everything is done for this. And then right here we can just see your registration number is 001 and the other one is 001. Then if we save this and run, and if I open the console, you can see we still have this to be 25 and name to be Paul. And we can actually print the registration number of student 1, also registration number of student 2. And if we print this, is going to be 001 and this. So it actually respects this is an integer, so this is not going to be printed. So I think this is the end of the classes class. If you have any question, I know this is a lot to take in. If you have any questions, just ask it on the channel and I'll let you know the answer to whatever thing. I'm going to try my best to answer that. Thank you. God bless you.